Today, let's dig a little bit deeper into top level statements. Yesterday, I did cover the basis of this, and I'll put the link for that video in the description. And today, we'll continue with a little more advanced topics with this feature that the new C Sharp 9 gives us. So, as you can see, the program is already converted to top level statements. It just has a using and a console. So, this kind of acts as a global entry point, and it kind of displays hello world on the screen, and we can show it by running .NET run command from the .NET CLI. It's going to take some time to build the application and to display the output. It does show hello world onto the console. Now, speaking about this code acting as a global entry point, it is to be noted that only one global entry point is allowed in a program or a console application. So if I create a new file and maybe call it demo.cs and copy over the same code, it's not going to work. It's going to start throwing an error saying that there are two entry points in an application. If I build the application, it's currently building it, and it definitely throws an error that only one function unit of top level statement is allowed. Secondly, if also one more thing to note is if we have one entry point through a global entry point using top level statements, and if we switch back to the old main method entry point style and try building the console application, it does throw a warning, but it does not throw an error. And the warning clearly states that the entry point, the global entry point will take preference over the main method. So if I build it, it's gonna again compile with the same warning. And if once the build is completed, if I go and hit .NET run, it's most probably going to show hello world 2 instead of hello world, because it now picks the global entry point rather than the main method entry point. All right, let's go ahead and comment out this code, and let's see what else we can do with this global entry point or top level statements. So another thing that the console application does provide us, at least in the main method style, was the args parameter, which was used to give arguments or at least input parameters for the program to run. And this was very useful in cases of the console application where some input needed to be given to externally to run the console application. Now the arch parameter is not available at this point, but as you can see, there is no args parameter defined. But the global, since this acts as a global entry point, there is this args parameter that is kind of available to us. Even though it's not defined, we do get intelligence on it, and we can use the args parameter. And C sharp, as you can see, does not throw any warning also for us, because I'm directly using this args and I have not defined it anyway. Okay, let's just use the static declaration over here just so that we can get rid of that one class over here and just call the method directly of it. So what we can say is, if there are args, basically what we can do is we can write maybe the first argument from that array, whatever is being passed as an input parameter. So args present first argument, and we can maybe just display the first index item from this location. That could be one thing, or else if there is no arguments, we can directly maybe print out that no arguments present. no uh, present. So this kind of tells us whether the program is being ran with arguments or without arguments. So if I come to my command line over here and type test.NET Run, and I provide say three arguments at this point, like test 3, test 2, test 1, and if I run it, it is going to say that args present first argument, uh, test 3, and then hello world 2, obviously after compilation. And yeah, so this is kind of interesting because we don't actually define an args parameter and it works fine for us. Now why is this? This is because C sharp ideally using this works in a global entry point, and the global entry point function already has a args parameter in it. To look at this, let's copy this code and let's go to the browser and start looking at a website that is Sharp Labs. And what we can do in this website is it kind of helps us identify the compiled or decompiled code. Make sure the Roslyn branch master 18 November 2020 is selected, and you can paste the code in here, and make sure in the results tab the decompiler is on C sharp, and you can clearly see that this was the same code that we ran. And at this point there is an internal program, there is a main method, there is an args parameter that it is working with, but only this code it's added by the compiler itself, and we don't have to deal with this code at this point. Okay, so now that we have the args parameter sorted, let's actually look at one more thing, that is the async and await. Now ideally our main method would have to have the async keyword, so we can use the await keyword. But at this point again, since it's a global entry point, if we add the await keyword, the async keyword will get automatically added to the global entry point. So what we can do is we can just say, we just introduce a small wait, and we can say wait for 2 seconds maybe. If we wait for 2 seconds, and I can use the await keyword, and let's use a new using statement here, system dot threading dot task dot, yeah, system dot threading dot task, and then we can use the task class and go to the delay method and introduce a delay of maybe 2 seconds. And what we can do is we can say wait completed, and that's about it. And what we can do is we can run it with the same command .NET Run and the arguments. It's going to build itself, and as soon as it's done building, it is saying waiting for 2 seconds, and there was a wait, and then it said wait completed. So in that way the await keyword also was sort of available for us without the async keyword appearing on top in the method. Right, and the same can be translated if we go ahead and we add a person's class again, and we make it public class person, and let's say the person this time just has one method, and it's an async method, and it says just greet. And to just make this method async, I'll just put actually a wait in it, because at the end, this is just a example of how the system would behave in actual code. So if I add the proper namespace here, and the person class will have a method called greet, and into is as soon as we are in here, we have used already the async keyword in the method. Now we can use the await, and what we can do is again use the same this, but this time I'll just maybe wait for 1 second. And what I can do is again I need to use console. So I'm going to create a static using on the system.console class. So that way I can just use right line and maybe it just says hi. Okay, and again, as normally I would do this in normal program, as we go ahead, we initialize an object of type person, and we just call the method greet on it. And definitely, since it's an async method, it is throwing a squiggly and it is telling that this has to be awaited. So let's put an await over here and run this thing. So once it is compiled and run again, we should see the it may not work because I have forgotten to save my document. So let's try running this thing again. And the was okay, it did not I did not save the document after adding the await keyword. That's why it threw that warning. And it waits for 2 seconds, await, it wait for 1 second and said hi. Okay, so this is how we can use the input argument array, and as well as async and await keyword in this top level statement style of programming with the new C# 9. Yeah, that's it for today.